Good evening and welcome to Elvis Shrek's Plastic Soul channel. Plastic Soul, man, Plastic Soul. Today I'm going to talk about 3 albums, 2 albums in particular. And without further ado, here we go. Alright, the first album we have is Pet Sounds. This is the 50th anniversary. And the other is Sgt. Pepper. This is the limited edition, not limited edition, actually it is limited edition picture disc, produced and remastered by Giles Martin, George Martin's son. He did an outstanding job on it, I should say. And a lot of people consider this to be the first concept album. But there are a lot of people that don't. And I'm one of those. To me, this is the first concept album. And to many others. For the fact that you have the title, Pet Sounds, the cover, the instrumentation, experimentation, and the fact that at the end of the album there's a song called Caroline No. At the end of that song you hear a train go by and dogs barking. Nobody had ever done anything like that until this album came out. This album changed everything in music that came after. And just to let you know what's on here, you got 3 hits. Wouldn't It Be Nice, God Only Knows, which is one of the most beautiful songs that you'll ever hear, and Sloop John B. And the song God Only Knows is the first song that has God in the title, outside of gospel music. Just a little trivia for you. This album came out in '66. Sgt. Pepper came out in May '67. At that time, Brian Wilson, he wasn't touring because of his health issues. So the Beach Boys, they'd go out on tour. He would be home and he would write. He would produce the tracks, write the songs, mix the songs, and so on. He went so far as to a lot of the orchestra. It is said that they didn't have, sheets, music sheets. He would go to each one of them individually and tell them exactly what he wanted them to play. That is how. That's just an example of what makes him a genius. In the way that he worked, in the way that he recorded his music, and so on. And but anyway, I'll get back. I swayed off a little bit. Before he made the album, he heard the album Rubber Soul, and it blew him away. And when he heard that, he had this competitive feeling that he wanted to do something more. Then, he wanted to evolve. He didn't want to stay in the Beach Boy realm his whole career. I mean, you can only sing about you know, surfing, you know, so many times. But, but yeah, he heard that, and so he made Pet Sounds. And after Pet Sounds came out, Paul McCartney and John Lennon, they heard it, and they were blown away. So much as to, it is stated that one or both of them cried during or after they heard the album, because, I mean, it just, they had never heard anything like it. They loved it so much. They loved it so much that they went to Brian Wilson and told him in person, or told him in person, about how much they loved it. And thus, that gave them the competitive feeling to do more in their music. And I will say, I'm going to go out and say that if it wasn't for Pet Sounds, Sgt. Pepper wouldn't be, because of the fact that, you know, it pushed the boundaries of music. They saw what he did, and they were like, we could do that, and now we have more ideas to do more. So, and but yeah, they went in the studio and did Sgt. Pepper. And getting back to what I had said about Sgt. Pepper might not have been, I mean, they probably would have, I'm sure, I mean, every album they did was great. I love each album, with the exception of a couple of songs. You know, one of them, Act Naturally, I could have done without that. I mean, that was just a filler for Ringo to fill out the album. But I'm sure they would have kept on doing you know, great music. They always did. But that's just my opinion on that. Pet Sounds set the standard, and it showed bands, you know, what could be done, what they could do, and what possibilities there were for more and to expand. In Pet Sounds, he was using instruments that had never been done before. Although in Rubber Soul, in Norwegian Wood, it was the first time anybody ever used sitar in a rock song or pop song. You know, with that's an exception. But in this album, he was using instruments in music that nobody had ever done before. And he was a genius in the fact that he could take two instruments and make one instrument, make a new, totally different sound out of using two separate instruments. He loved that stuff. And now I'm going to talk about the third that I had alluded to before at the beginning of the video. I don't have the album, but I do have the box set, the CD box set of Smile. And that's the back side there. It comes with the album, outtakes, the poster of the album cover, also a little pin button. I mean, it's very cool. Now this is not, he did two versions. He did Smile with his band, which is totally awesome. And if you want to check out check it out live, you ought to do that because it'll blow you away. I mean, when I watch it, everything that you hear came out of Brian Wilson's head, and it is beyond belief what you're hearing, because it is unimaginable that somebody could do that, arrange that, come up with that, think that. You know, it's totally unimaginable to me, but it's one of the things that makes him a genius. I mean, if you watch it and you see it, you'll be blown away by it. But I love this album. It contains the song Good Vibrations, and also contains one of my favorite songs, Blues, or shoot, my mind went blank. Surf's Up. You need to check out that song also. After Pet Sounds, check that back up a little bit. He came up with two versions. He finished one with his new band that he had, or still has, and after that he put out this one, which is the Beach Boys. And it never got released because of the fact that he was under so much pressure from the other members of the Beach Boys, Mike Love in particular, who, in my opinion, is an egotistical jerk. And Brian Wilson was a perfectionist, and Mike Love would call Brian Wilson dog ears. You know, there's nothing wrong with being a perfectionist. And Mike Love was jealous. Mike Love goes, or does a lot of times, take credit for a lot of stuff that Brian Wilson did. Which, I mean, I'm just not a Mike Love fan because of all that. To me, the Beach Boys is Brian Wilson. You know, Mike Love goes out with his band and calls themselves the Beach Boys. I'm sorry, but no. But getting back to the story at hand, he was under pressure from the members of the Beach Boys, Mike Love, his father, his depression, the record label. So that album got shelved. But he was working on that album after Pet Sounds came out in '66. Sgt. Pepper came out in '67, May '67. He worked on this album for, I'll say 10 months. And till the pressures got so much that he just decided to scrap it, or just put it on the shelf and say forget it. And but this album was a concept album, and the album itself, it has a story behind it, about taking a tour across the country, so to speak. And every song would flow into the other song. There never was an ending So that is a concept album. And the songs flowing into each other was way before Paul McCartney taking songs and flowing them into each other, as he would sometimes do in Abbey Road, for example. And he, let's see, he did it in Memory Almost Full. He's done it a few other times. And but just saying again, this is the genius of Brian Wilson. He did it before everybody else did. It just never came into fruition because of pressure. And you know, he had scrapped it, and then Sgt. Pepper came out, and you know, a lot of people want to say it's the first concept album, in which I say no. Pet Sounds was the first concept album, and Smile was the first true concept album that never came to be until a few years ago. But I just wanted to put that into perspective on what, you know, what reality is. What reality is in your mind might not be true. And you know, that's my opinion. You have your opinion. A lot of people have different opinions. And but that's about it. If you, like I said, if you've never heard Smile, and you want to hear it, like right now on YouTube, after you see this video, go on, look up Brian Wilson Presents Smile, and you will hear something, you know, that is a gift of God. God gave him this gift, and nobody else. I have never heard anything that even comes close to what this man can do with music. I'm going to tell you right now, so check that out. And after you check that out, buy the album. You will be totally impressed by that also. Also, buy the Pet Sounds 50th anniversary. And I actually do. I don't open my. I don't do any seal to reveals. It just, I love to watch them. You know, Ed and Beetle Brad and all, hey out there. A lot of the vinyl community, they do seal to reveals. If it's unsealed, I'll show it. If it's sealed, I'm more of a collector, as you can see behind me. I have a lot of a huge Elvis collection. To me, it just takes away from the value, so to speak. So anything I listen to is on CD. And I have the new remastered Sgt. Pepper, and I also have the 50th anniversary of Pet Sounds. And on this one, you'll find the on this one it has the mono edition, the stereo edition, and on disc 2 you have the instrumental album and also live recordings. So I mean, You know, it's a very nice package they have for you. But yeah, I mean, check those out, get those, and that is about it. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got to learn some new stuff and to, you know, take, you know, thoughts that I've given you and, you know, just put a new perspective out there for you. And music always evolves, you know. Something here always comes from something somewhere else. So Sgt. Pepper came from Pet Sounds. You know, people say that you know, the Beatles pushed boundaries. They did, but it was because this album pushed boundaries first. But I want to thank you for watching. I hope you subscribe. I hope you hit like and not dislike just because you disagree. But you know, these are my opinions, and a lot of other people's opinions also. But I'm just putting it on video for you to see. So this is Elvis Shrek's Plastic Soul signing off, and we'll see you next time. Have a good day. Adios.